nature kind of function, meaning, or so I simply said, well, are they bisons or buffaloes? And then I found another nature kind of bovine that is called the gaur. That is a kind of a
Should
natural
be
that
back,
lives.
guys.
Okay,
Cool.
yeah, in
Yeah.
part of Asia. So and then I said, okay, then so I tried to introduce a lot of that to add natural flavor, especially for farmers and hunters and all that stuff. So yeah.
Thank you, Brian.
I'm sorry. So yeah, Jay, go ahead and scroll to the list of, like, I had you take that screenshot earlier.
That.
No. Yes, this. So I keep this running. This is much clearer on the Twitch than it is on the Zoom for some reason. So I keep this running as the players find stuff. I flesh this out, and so, like, looking at Glory Bulb, I hope none of my players are on here.
Well, if they are, there aren't anymore. You killed it. So,
yeah. So, like, for Glory
Sorry.
Bulb, I have it if they drink it as a tea. So this is that camp at night. If they put it in a tea, there's no special anything needed for this. The Glory Bulb is going to restore 4 hit points. They put it into a poultice, which is something the difference between a poultice and a tea is a poultice you can apply to somebody who is unconscious in my book. You're putting this, smothering it all over an open wound. It's going to restore 1d4 hit points. Smoked, I'm just going to go through the Glory Bulb as a whole here. And then
Okay.
I can talk about random stuff here. Smoked, it restores a hit die because I'm doing 5e, and I do my long rest differently. Long rest, you have to have your creature comforts. You don't get a long rest when you're on the road. You don't get a long rest when you're in danger. You have to be in an inn. You have to be well sheltered. Or like a cave out in the wilderness where you're not expecting to get ambushed to get a long rest. So restoring hit dice is pretty important. If you took a Glory Bulb, you brewed it into a potion, which requires a DC 13 alchemy check, intelligence-based, you would get a potion of healing.
Oh, wow. Okay.
For an ointment, it's the same thing. You'd still get 10 hit points back, but it's 1 hit point per round for 10 rounds. So you get maximum amount of healing. It's not, the ointments are pretty close to what you get with the potions, but typically max effects, and it's not something you'd want to use in combat.
Mm-hmm.
Tinctures require quite a bit of extra oomphiness. They require dry aging versus like smoke aging. Like hang it over fire. Like you got to go and like get a special room to dry age it for a couple weeks, and that would grant you a bit of potion of lesser restoration. Because Glory Bulb is a strictly healing aspect, it does not have a coating or a poison. I don't know if I have my final list on my home PC or if it's on my work laptop. I have 2 things that are listed as final, but the one on my PC is listed with a question mark, so I'm guessing that I never actually transferred that over. So if anybody's interested in this list, it is tuned for 5e. But shoot me a message and I can try to jot down your emails and I can send it to you. The rules on how all this works is on the what's it called, the Obsidian portal. But
Yeah.
I don't try to have this out there because to this is a living
Yeah. For your group.
of how, finding and discovery. This is a really good, like I have one player that is just hard on for this stuff. He loves it. So.
Well, it's really cool.
So here we go. Before what is Clover? Here it says detoxification. To my players, they don't know. They know essentially it's going to remove poison, but it's remove poison in 1d12 rounds. Yarrow root. If we look at that yarrow root there, and it says instill confidence. Gain 1d2 temporary hit points.
Okay, just by it's a nice little add-on.
Yeah,
So.
it adds a lot of flavor, adds some cool mechanics, and it can be campaign hooks. And just like high level, like components for magical spells, material components for high level spells can be awesome campaign MacGuffins or the reasons for the campaign to exist. You have to go out and find that, and that's something that the characters can earn money on questing that for the high wizards and rulers and stuff who needs that. That's kind of high level commodity that's really valuable, so you can cast high level magic. So I keep lists of what kind of these resources that are in high demand and difficult to get, so to speak, so I can kind of sprinkle that in both as treasure and as quests for reasons for going on a quest, and stuff that rules the world in some part and adds flavor.
And I did try to make them relatively agnostic to system. So like you could add these pretty much. There's
Yeah.
some of them, like there's Paylor's Grace. You could simply rename that to be something else.
Yeah.
I gotta say, like I went off the wall with the smoke. Like I just put all sorts of weird stuff. Grants an ability to see to the ethereal plane. Double lift and drag limit. Receives a vision of the future. May or may not be true. There's some stuff that restores spell slots, like, but that's like
Yeah.
the level 5 rare herbs. So
And you can really add a lot of cool little stuff, and then a lot of it is one use, which means that it will not upset the game too much. Like if you have hand over an artifact or something that will stay forever and gives a unlimited use or once a day, then that can alter the game. But if you have something that is like a one use, or they have 2 doses of it or something, then it doesn't matter that much. It doesn't upset the game long term.
yeah, even like eating just a raw one consumes 1. Because technically you can, mid battle, if you're really hard up, you can hit that glory bulb for 1d2 hit points.
Yeah, and you can also say that some things like smoking, that takes like a minute to do, which means that you limit the use in combat. And ointment and tinctures or whatever, that might take an hour to do some of it, or minutes. So it's something you can use in between to flavor downtime with. So
yeah, no, the smoking is something that Clef, he does at camp. He's the one that discovered that dream seed. He was expecting him to fall asleep and have a good night's sleep, and instead he tripped out by seeing him into the ethereal plane.
So it looks like we got a follow at some time when we were crashed or whatever. So Sunthis, thank you for the follow. It's pretty funny. And Mike, you just—I'm
so sorry I crashed.
That's all right, dude. It's
well,
come on,
I've
man.
done
It's
it
no big
times,
deal.
yeah.
I know, but
it's no big deal. It's all right. Don't worry about it. It's not. We're rolling. Did Tim say anything? Did Tim say he was out, coming back, or whatever?
He disappeared.
Well, that's okay.
Yep.
I said we were going to go to 11 o'clock anyway, and we started early, so we're almost at 2 hours as it is.
Yeah,
so, guys, I hope you all of you that were on watched Carlos's interview with Luke Gygax. It was awesome. That was really cool. Thanks, Brian, for hopping on too.
I want to share my cool stuff before you.
What do you want to do?
So, just because we're winding down in the night.
Sure.
Every year I do table gifts for my players. Most time I do super sweet gifts, like inspiration holders. And I think I shared my parts box, right? The one day that I actually made.
Your prison.
No, not my prison. My parts box. No, I never shared that.
No.
Oh man.
Well, that's because you're
serious work on this thing.
Well, he did a nice dice prison.
Well, the dice prison was just as simple as going to Thingiverse and grabbing that and printing it out. Let me see here. I got to share this here real quick, but I'll share a couple of what I did for this year.
Okay.
Images.
So, Mike, thank you for becoming a citizen of the Free City of Altamira. If you weren't already a VIP, you'd have a VIP status for a week. That's what you do for 5,000. So, just on the turn-ins on for 5,000, that's what it does. So, and anyone who they Twitch encourages you to add abilities beyond the standard checks on for the points list. All right, so what we got here in Imgur?
So the first one is the parts box I made. I made them for my group. Okay. There is a section.
Cool.
The big section is a section for rolling dice. There's a little bit larger section, like the middle section is big enough size for a slot of cards, because a lot of people have spell cards. And then the third section is for storing minis.
Did you 3D print them.
No, I made this. This is made out of
Okay.
aspen wood. And then the second one is my lid. So I did some wood burning on my lid. I did some staining. I'd made it distressed. And then all along the sides on mine, I have all of the class icons for 5e.
Yeah, I saw. Yeah, it's nice, man. Really nice.
So,
It gives them plenty of room to roll, and that's cool.
but this year, because I was super lame and I didn't have time and didn't think about things, I got these kind of cool like adventure journals,
Right, with different covers for each one.
different covers, and then there is lined paper, graph paper, and hex paper in each one of these.
We all do
Wow.
gifts for our
Yeah.
players. I gave
And
out
these are like
dice.
$7 a pop on Amazon, and they're awesome. I was
Yeah.
really surprised with the quality. I was like,
How many? You have up to 7 players in your group now, so yeah.
You gave
Jose
out
dropped
awesome
out.
dice. Yeah.
Oh, thanks, Anna. Yes, thank
These
you.
are the coolest dice ever. And they're heavy too. They're really heavy.
And I got them during Heroes
Mine
of
rolls a
Greyhound
lot of
Play.
ones.
Oh, your blacksmiths roll a lot of ones. Oh, that stinks.
I mean, it's great for the players.
Yeah. You can't, yeah. And you can't roll these on a fancy table.
No,
because they will
yeah,
make
no.
dents in the
You
tables.
really
but
want
they're
to, yeah.
but they're fantastic.
Oh,
Yep.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Anna. So, guys, I know we. Wow, the time flew by here. We did start
Yeah.
early tonight.
I still have beer. I'm good, but whatever.
Oh yeah, me too. I'm good. I'm good. Yeah, it's only 8 o'clock here. So that's good. Yeah.
I got to work tomorrow, but it's like it's a. Do you really work on Christmas Eve? You're like, I'm gonna go in and do some testing with my kiosk I have at my desk, and
So, a couple of quickie things that I do in my game is for years we were like, I want to get a wand recharged. How much does that cost? We had the associated cost with it. So finally, I went through all those hundreds of character sheets and I tried to find every single wand that we had, wand, rod, staves that have recharge capability, put the reference up, and oh, thank you. And then did it. So we have a wands recharging cost list, which is cool. I got the scroller back on. Save the bite. Thank you so very much for that Twitch Prime sub. I really appreciate it. And 2020, we're giving out a lot of great stuff from Reaper Stratagem and Miniature Building Authority, all three of our sponsors. So that's one little tweak we did was wand recharging. The other one is our proficiency system, which is a lot of 3rd edition feats melded into our 2E, 1E weapon proficiency system. We've for what weapons you take, we kind of added extra proficiencies and made it get them quicker. And a lot of these are kit based. So if Casey, if you're on still, this is where the kit based stuff is already into our system for characters. So hopefully we may have already have the class and the character type that Casey will be playing. Yeah, see? So there's a lot of stuff built into the system already, so you don't have to worry about kits. Yes, so there's 39 proficiencies we have. They're all play tested. They're all work in our miniature style of play. A lot of them are already automatically on the sheets. So Anna's character, her ranger mage, had two-fisted fighting, which is one of them on the sheet already. So she didn't have to worry, her Imri had that, and so it was taken care of. There's a lot of them. Here's the proficiency updates that I'm showing. They come a lot quicker, one every 2 levels for fighters instead of one every 3. That really helps with the system. It's easy in our 1E, 2E to build your 3 character, Casey, easily into what you need it to be. So we can go over this, and that's what I wanted to share with you. We will make your PC. Trust me, we're going to make it up. We're going to go over it together, make it up. It won't be a problem at all for it. And we already know what class she's going to be. I think it should be. We won't, unless you want to share it. We won't tell anyone what it's going to be. So, yes,
all right. We're still kind of going, right?
A little bit. Yeah, go for it.
Bit. All right. You mentioned this earlier. I will. When I was talking to you about like just in general. You mentioned what I do to make 5e deadlier, because that's one of the big complaints with 5e.
Yes.
Is that it's really deadly in like the first 3 levels. After that, you don't really have player deaths. And so I do 2 things. First is the death save is raised to 13. Very, very simple. And this is also on my home rules. And then anytime you get taken down to 0 hit points, you gain a level of exhaustion. And exhaustion is very, very, very bad. And that
take
really
your word
prevents,
for it.
like, the one thing doing 5e from all the way from like the playtest era to where we are now, the one thing it really, really suffers from, because you heal from 0, is rubber banding. Fighter goes down, cleric, boom. Fighter up, fighter goes down, cleric, boom. And so I wanted to stop that whole cycle.
Makes
So,
sense.
in the
There's
event
Tim.
of a player death, though, one of my things you don't have this because you run multiple groups. If your character dies, you cannot come back as the same race or the same class. You have to pick a different race and class, which just prevents from being I'm Joe Smith the third.
That makes sense, Brian. That makes total sense. You know, the way you play style one character and the way you have your groups and you have your thing running through, it makes total sense. You want
We're getting
variety.
close to our second group, though.
That's awesome. I love multiple groups. You know that. So, Tim, you all right there, man?
Yeah.
Brian crashed the stream. He crashed my machine. You probably were trying to share.
Like 6 times. All right.
You probably were trying to link something in a higher resolution than we have the stream set at, and
Yeah,
that's probably what happened.
that doesn't.
I was
seem
literally
right.
sharing my monitor, which is just a
Yeah.
screen.
It's okay. It
Yeah.
happens, and
Those Jay's stuff.
it's always my fault. Yes, it's always. That's what my wife says too. So, yeah. All right. In closing, guys, any other ones you want to share, and then we will talk about some upcoming stuff for 2020. So,
Oh, let
For
me.
me, I use the Ultimate Campaign is one of the best books that I kind of dive in. So I have, for instance, settlements have and kingdoms and stuff have a character sheet. So they have alignments and stats and stuff that you can very quickly determine things like how easy it is for the or how difficult it is to dodge the city watch, for instance, and what kind of items can you buy and all sorts of things you can almost generate on the fly simply knowing the stat blocks of the settlement. And I kind of really like those rules. When you run a sandboxy games like me that can bounce all over the place in the local area, I tend to just figure these things out for each settlement, meaning how is the economy run, what's the basic premise of the settlement, why does it exist, etc. So things like that, I tend to have these things kind of flared out or statted out a bit, and that helps me a lot in my immersion, so to speak. So I have a lot of tools to make me immersed in the campaign way easier, and that way I can present more of a functioning world to the players on the fly.
good. That's good.
You know, the Judges Guild has like a technology level for towns and cities, and governmental type, a style of government and a style of and technology level, and then major
Yeah.
income markets, whether it's agriculture, forestry, market.
So they were ahead of the game back in the 70s.
Yeah.
Think about it, because that stuff's all from the 70s, which really says how old we
And
are.
the city state is not quite the highest level.
Right, because you have the city state of the world emperor, right, which is higher.
Actually, I think it's different city states across an ocean. Actually,
Okay.
across a sea.
Man.
They're one low from the top.
It's all just you take what you have. And Tim, why don't you bring up your points here? Why don't you talk about real quick what customization should and should not do to your game? This is good. Do you want me to say them?
I had to look it up. I had to get a reference there. Yeah, basically, as I was thinking is about customization in general. I wasn't thinking about a specific topic. But it was basically a customization should, and here's the things they should do. It should support your campaign aesthetic. It should add something, even if it is taking something away. And actually, Anna had an example of that. She didn't allow was gunpowder because it's adding something to the campaign by its absence. If you if there's certain things you don't allow or add, it either makes it more challenging more mystery, more risk. It should be manageable, so the game mechanics should be manageable. It should be fun, and comment on it should not be unbalancing. I won't say it should balance, but it should not be unbalancing.
Right.
Yeah. I just have to tell Jason that I haven't fed my familiar enough today. So yeah, you see, we all have to feed our familiars.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So all the points you bring up are really true points. You want it balanced. You want it to be fun and interesting for your players. You want your players go go ahead to proceed. You want them to be invested. And I hear a cat crying in the background.
See, now comes your familiar.
Yeah, comes one of my two familiars.
I kicked mine out of the house.
And you want it to be balanced too. So, guys, Brian, you got anything in customization closing, or are we good and go to announcements?
I feel like there was one I was going to bring up, but I can't remember.
You guys should check out his Masterwork rules as well. I kind of forgot that. And he has Masterwork crafters all over the place. It's pretty neat.
Which was just done with an Excel randomization formula. Like, I was like, oh, how do I do this? I was like, oh, Excel randomization formula. Here we go.
Yeah, Casey, we tend to have crafters not be player characters because I had an abuse where I had a guy who's like, well, I'm not adventuring for the next 5 months because all these other groups are adventuring, so I'm going to write scrolls for all that time. And I'm like, no, you're not. You're not going to write scrolls so you have 50 spells capable. No. So
you could have just said, okay, you can write, but then he runs out of ink. And it takes 3 months for him to get a refill.
Well, it will cost 500 gold pieces each, or per level, or something like that.
You didn't have to know just know. You could have just made it.
It's so much easier to know just know at some points, guys. That's why we have the know just know emote right here, just because that is so much easier to do.
That's what it was. My very simple 5e. If anybody does 5e, one of my big gripes is getting proficient with a weapon that you are not initially proficient with. And for me, you have to hit an enemy 10 times in combat with that weapon. That sounds like a very easy thing to do, but Anna and Jay, as you guys know, attacking with disadvantage is not exactly an easy thing to do. So to hit 10 times in combat when you have disadvantage is a rough thing to do. So that is my 5e adjustment to proficiency. Very, very simple. It beats the 100 days of tracking. Everybody has a little tracker if they're working on a weapon. Like somebody gained there's a bunch of slavers that they killed, and they have some slaver whips. And so one of the guys is really interested in the slaver whips, and so he's attempting to attack. I think he's done out of the 6 attempts, he's made 2 hits.
Yeah,
but they're taking a chance, and they're kind of putting their team at risk for that. So to me, I think that kind of evens out the.
There's training, and then there's reality, and reality is always harder than training.
It's always harder.
Ryan, I use a very similar system for my 0 level characters, meaning they are like -3, I think, on because they're non-proficient, so they're untrained. So when they hit the first time, then they automatically go from -3 to -2. And then they have to hit 5 more times, then they go to -1, so to speak. And then they hit 10 more times, and then they are proficient.
Okay. Yeah, so pretty close.
In combat. So yeah, so it's very, very similar. Yep.
Ours is simple. You got to take the weapon proficiency.
And then I have a lot of various class features that I've made into feats, so you can kind of cross train into a whole bunch of stuff by taking feats.
Yeah, because you have martial and all the other stuff.
Exactly, you can learn lots of different stuff. So so you can even if you're whatever character class. So I wanted to kind of smooth over. If you want to diversify, you can, and PF2. I've done that even further because they have multi-classing feats. So you can simply, if you're a fighter and I want to do some spell casting, you can take a multi-class feat and start learning wizard spells or something, or so that way you can you become a little bit of the other class. And I kind of really love that because you can flavor out characters and balance them one way or the other. So yeah. I have one more kind of rule system that I use as a DM that I think is kind of really cool. Because a lot of times you want to have like the characters or the party is in a battle. It's not only them, but it's like a large battle. I want them to be part. Let's say there is like a huge battle between two armies, and the characters are part of one army, and you want to flesh out the meaning the characters just play a small part in a huge battle. And I wanted to figure out an easy way to handle that without too much trouble, and still wanted to, because I didn't want to simply say that one side will win no matter what, so to speak. So what I did is that I instead of having 5 feet squares, you have 100 feet squares. So for the general, I take one of my bigger maps, so to speak, and have 100 feet squares and make a large area map. And then everything that happens within one of these 100 feet squares where the characters are directly involved, I run that combat as normal, meaning
Miss.
yeah, the
Yeah.
character attacks the so and so NPCs or monsters and vice versa. But all the other ones, let's say you have a dragon on one side that is going around mowing down and burning up a lot of the others on the other. Then I just use CR as both attack and armor class and hit points, and just roll quickly. And so you have your CR, and then you add a D20. That's the attack roll, and then you use the CR as the plus the defense roll as the roll. So basically 2 rolls, and then they do this much hit points, and they just cut down on the challenge rating. That way I can quickly resolve complicated battles with and I can aggregate like 10 orcs together, like one each, that will become a CR10 creature. It's very rudimentary, but it doesn't matter because it's there mainly for flavor and to see how the battle kind of unfolds around the character. So they can be on a huge battlefield with hundreds and even thousands of monsters and troops and whatever that does it. And you can aggregate them up, and you can do the combat fairly quickly. It usually takes about the same amount of time to do a battle with several thousand creatures and monsters as it does for the characters. So it's double the time, but all of a sudden the characters are in the dynamic battlefield where stuff happens, so to speak. It's I called it the surrounding battles rules because it's simply something that, and I let the characters roll for their side often, roll the D20, and I just dole it out, and they feel like we are part of a side, and it can go one way or the other, and all of a sudden it's things are hanging in the balance. And then the big monster comes into the characters, and you roll normal for a round or two, and then the dragon is run away or flown away somewhere else, and it becomes part of the surrounding battles again. And that have worked really well for epic big confrontations when IU's troops comes, and now we have to hold this wall up here and make sure the enemy is not coming over it, and they come with the storm with ladders and siege towers and siege engines and whatnot coming and pummeling the wall and stuff. We've had some epic battles that way that have been really fun.
Because battle system's lacking.
Yes, and I wanted something that was very simple that I can do in the head without reading a rule, and that adds a certain amount of uncertainty and that can handle enormous amount of other creatures as needed, so to speak, and that the characters can participate in. And so far it worked really well.
So I want to bring up one quick thing.
Yeah.
With all that, Jason brings up a point about fighters, saying fighters get screwed over at mid levels, abilities over other benefits. Not in my game where we have a customization. So, and Brian knows this. I ripped it right off from World of Warcraft. Right, Brian? Battle and demoralizing shouts. So
I don't agree with them.
so at 4th level, fighters get as a free action a battle shout or a demoralizing shout, +1 within 10-foot radius friends, -1 if they want demoralizing 10-foot radius enemies, 1 round per level, 3 times per day.
Sorry, those ones I'm okay. The taunt is the one I'm not a fan of.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So,
Yeah.
and weapon mastery and all the other stuff, and we have and all of our proficiencies there. Good to see you on, Mike. Good to see you hopping on with this. So the door is open, so the cat's not that smart, Jason. You know what I'm saying? Like, what am I supposed to do? The door is cracked open. One sec here.
You need to level up your familiar here. Yeah.
I will catch up with you guys later. I'm rolling.
Okay. Wonderful seeing you again, Tim.
The things I do. So,
Yeah, you need to level up your
Tim had to
familiar there
leave?
for a bit. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Okay. All
He
right.
had 2 shots of whatever it was.
Yeah, Tim has to get up probably at 4 o'clock in the morning. So, all right. Great
And words of your favorite person. Where?
So, check your PMs on Discord, by the way. So,
Oh,
Mike, please check them out because Mike has something he wants would like you to do down the road in 2020 because he's got some 5e Fantasy Ground stuff for Greyhawk. Ooh.
okay.
Yep. Yeah, we lost Tim. Tim had to go. Tim is I think still has to work tomorrow, and he has to find bad guys, which is not a fun thing to do in the city of Camden. So, yeah. All right. So here's where we are. Thank you all. Great doubleheader. Carlos' show was fantastic. Luke Gygax was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
He had him on for an hour, and then we hopped on a little early, so we've already gone for over 2 hours and 15 minutes here. Thank you for hanging in there, Brian. No big deal. So we'll have 2 parts to view. I haven't had a crash in months, so Brian, you broke my streak. Thank you so very much for a massive crash, but that's okay. We're all
I was
friends.
just trying to show
I
you.
know.
Well,
I know.
I crashed it last time, I think. So
Yeah, that was a long time ago, Anna. You crashed
Yeah.
it. It's almost a year. And
Yeah.
the whole thing went up in flames. So let's do some quickie announcements for 2020. Anna, what's going on?
I just posted my kind of New Year's outlook a little bit and talked a little bit, not in detail. I wanted to keep some of the things under wraps. It was mostly my thoughts on where I am and my mapping, how it's going to develop and stuff, and wish people a happy holidays, happy Merry Christmas and all that, and Need Fest and so on. So it was basic, but the gist of it is that this year for me has been a year when I've kind of overhauled my Flanese map. That's basically all I've had time to really do, and the 576 map was a much bigger undertaking than I thought, but now it's basically done, and it's come out to my patrons, and they seem to really like it, and it's coming to everybody in a few weeks, and so that has been the huge thing. And next year for me will be, instead of sitting and doing a lot of research and updating old maps, it will be to dig into new technology and start doing new maps. And that will be a shift that I think is very welcome, because now people have been staring at the same damn map for 20 years, and we need to have some new stuff, so to speak. So
awesome.
So that is a lot of things. So my top patrons will get a lot more map technical stuff. There's a whole new generation of tools coming out, and I will also revamp my Patreon this spring. That's something that I've been thinking of for the past 6 months. So that's coming, and more details will come to my patrons first, and then to everybody. So those are the kind of overall things, and then I'm starting to plan for GaryCon, for seminars and stuff like that. So yeah.
I got a little surprise for you, Anna. I think I mentioned to you in Discord, but I'll do it during my announcement part. So go ahead, Brian.
Let's see here. Well, I am preparing for my first ever home game over there. Sorry, it's
yes, because normally you're at a game store.
Yeah, I mean, we used to do games once a month at one of the guys' house that lives right by the comic book shop. Not that I'm far. I apologize for the screen jerkiness, everybody. So I am heavily on print for 3D printing stuff right now. I don't think I'm gonna have time to paint it.
Well, Bill's painting all the stuff you gave me. Thank you for those detailed. We're gonna have a lot more cool detailed stuff that Brian sent us. That'll be all done up shortly, and you'll see it in 2020 in our dungeon settings and our bars and all sorts of places that Brian did for us. So thank you.
So for the map I'm doing, I am doing the 3rd level of Tomb of the Lizard King. I'm skipping levels 1 and 2 because they're dealing with other stuff throughout that whole little shindig. This is the whole thing I was hoping to get to the previous discussion, but with the wife in the car accident and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Well,
there's Brian Blumklotz.
So there's just a couple things I had to print out, so I'm finishing up those. Hopefully I'll get them printed. Besides that, cashing checks and snapping necks, I guess.
Yes, but thank you so very much for coming on tonight. I know he's driving from the doctors, and I called him and said, "Hey, we're gonna have a show tonight. You're gonna be on, right?"
Yeah.
You're talking to my wife about it, and she's
Yeah,
like,
and she's like, "No problem." So, yeah, I said 2 words to her once, and she laughed her ass off. I can't say them on the stream at all because she hated it. Well, she didn't hate it. She loved my South Jersey accent, so I can't really say them. But it was, they're,
you're South Jersey people. They're an
Yeah.
angry people,
Yeah,
and she fits in with those angry people.
yeah, we can
Yeah.
be. So, Brian, thanks for Blumklotz. Thank you for the but thank you because you're one of the original subs. I mean, you're
I'm
like
the original
17.
Brian, okay?
You're an original first generation guy.
I'm the best Brian. Say it.
I can't do that. I've known you longer, Brian. A lot
that
longer.
hurts my heart, Joe.
Oh gosh, man. I don't want. So.
I'm gonna cry myself to sleep.
No, well, come on. You're gonna be drinking a little bit more, and then you'll be crying even more. So it's okay. And you gotta work tomorrow.
That's a workday limit.
Oh my gosh, it's funny. So here's what's going on for 2020. Well, we still have 2 streams left in 2019. Hopefully, this Sunday we have nothing on. I'm glad we got this on tonight. Thank you all for coming on a night we're normally not on. I wanted to make it a doubleheader into Carlos's, and there was, it just made total sense. Thank you. Next Sunday, Gabbin. We were doing the year in review. I did it last year. I was deathly ill, if you guys remember. Probably not because I probably had we probably had 150 followers back then. So, but yeah, I was definitely ill when I did the year in review 2018. I'm going to do year in review 2019 next Sunday. We'll talk about a lot of the things that went on during the year, cool things. So, I'm looking forward to that. And like Brian Blomklot said earlier, it's been a great year, 2019. So we'll do that. And then Marco is on Monday still. Marco's Gates, Forrester, and Peak is on. That's it for 2019. We will be back on in our game stream on Thursday, January 2nd.
20 plus 20 equals 40, Jay.
Yeah. 40
2020. It's your 40-year anniversary.
I know.
Yeah,
it's weird.
super cool.
So
yeah.
starting January 2nd, we kick off. That's why the 40's on the logo. We kick off the 40th year anniversary of the Order of Eula campaign. We start officially going to year 40, and we're going to be doing a lot of things. But here's what's going on. I may, for next Gabbin, Frank, if you're still there, I may have a teaser ad for our 2015 fundraiser. Okay, I may have it by then. It just depends. I know Frank is working from Nightheart Gaming is working on it, and Anna, it's going to have your maps in it.
Ooh.
Okay, it's going to have your 576 map in it. It's going to have some great music in it. It's going to have May. Frank, I said no pressure. Whenever we get it. But Frank is working on a 45-second and a 2-minute teaser ad for our 2020 fundraiser, which, guys, everyone remember, Saturday, February 15th, 24 hours of Greyhawk, over 6 channels. 6 channels, man. 6. Starting midnight that Saturday and running all the way through to that Sunday midnight. And the story is going to be Return of the Falcon. If you guys know the Falcon series, she's back, all right, at some capacity. And we're all going to have like individual stories we're going to go over. I think it's going to be an awesome time. We raised $1,000 last year and there's one of the Falcons. We raised over $1,000 last year for St. Jude. We want to double it this year. So the only thing that I've not finalized is a major sponsor. So I'm still working on that. So I'm going to be talking to everyone else about that. Hopefully we may have that. You'll see that shortly. Lots of great things coming in 2020. We're going to do a lot of high-level adventuring. We're going to do some new character adventures later in the year. We're going to do some. What is that? What you got?
My phone.
What?
Check your damn phone, knucklehead.
Check my phone?
Yes.
Oh.
I thought you checked it. I saw you dinking around with apparently your.
I don't know what that means. How do you not know what that means? Oh, Saturday Night Special.
Yeah.
All right. So when do you want to do it?
Did you not just see what I wrote?
Yeah, I
Wow.
said announce the
This-
Saturday Night Special 1 month post FGU launch. Well, when's FGU launch?
I don't really know yet.
Okay. All right.
That's
so
what I'm saying. Like whenever it launches, that's when we'll do my next Saturday Night Special. Like,
okay, because
within a
Brian,
month of it, because I'll need a little bit of time to. All right. So since Jay completely messed us up, because I was trying
I
to be
did. I
clever,
messed
to,
this
like
up
make
big
it
time.
think like he had this planned. It's been a long time since we did a Brian Saturday Night Special.
Yes, it is. Yes, it has.
And so we got to see where these captured fools landed. And so my thought is FGU is supposed to launch in December. It's not fully ready yet. They have a couple things going on. They're working out some kinks. Hopefully it shouldn't be too much longer. So my plan is post 1 month, somewhere in that initial month or slightly after post FGU launch,
Okay.
we will run next. Brian's.
Okay, just remember this. That's great. We got yours. We got Tim's. We got the fundraiser on the 15th. If
Yeah.
I'm at GaryCon, right? That's the 3rd weekend in March, and the first weekend in March, 4th weekend in March.
We'll make it work.
We'll make it work. We'll make it work.
Alright.
There's gonna be a lot of
If we're
content.
gonna stream it from, I'll bring my work laptop. We'll stream it from GaryCon.
I'm bringing mine. Well, if I go, I'll bring in mine too. So we got a lot of things going on in 2020. I'm excited. It's all Greyhawk, except for Tim's City State, and it's going to be a wonderful time. And that's what I wanted to say. I'm looking forward to next Sunday. We'll do our year in review, and then we'll finish that up, and we'll start fresh in 2020. And I'm looking forward to Brian's game. And if you, like I said, if you like 5e content, we actually have the 5e Greyhawk content with that, and Fantasy Grounds, a great thing. So you get with Mike. Make sure you get with Mike Wilson, and yeah, because he's got some things he wants you to play test. Anna, Brian, thank you. Tim, thank you. Brian Blomklotz, thank you for coming on. Carlos and Luke Gygax on Carlos's channel earlier with their interview. That was awesome. So it's been a great doubleheader. We cranked it out of here tonight. I'm so glad that we did this and didn't wait until next Sunday to go back on. So thank you. Yes.
Yeah, you hijacked me again, and that was
absolutely. Please have a safe and happy holiday season with family and friends. Everyone, enjoy the time. I'm enjoying the time.
Gaming.
Yeah, you know what? I'll be gaming my son with what Santa brings for my son. We'll be doing some stuff.
Yeah.
But you know, if you guys are into gaming, please game. It's funny. All this vacation time, I'm actually going to be gaming less, but that's okay.
Yeah, same thing for me. I will.
This is what I'm hoping to crack open. I picked it up for like $40
Oh wow.
on Amazon special.
Oh, is that your gift to yourself?
Yeah, I wasn't gonna get it, and my wife, because it was normally like $100. And I was looking at it, and it's on sale for $40. And my wife's like, "What are you looking at?" I'm like, "Something that I shouldn't get." And she's like, "Get it!" I'm like, "Oh, best wife ever."
That's awesome. Well, considering
she broke her arm the next day.
So everyone, we're going to say good night, happy holidays, Merry Christmas, whatever you celebrate. You know, please enjoy it. I have an open house tomorrow night at my house. If any of you were in the area, you know, but I don't think that that's going to be in Jersey.
Tough. I have to run my ticket quickly if I'm going to make it.
From 5 to 10, we have it, and we have food and drink here, and it's been a tradition here.
It's only a 11.5-hour drive.
Yeah, it's been for the last 8 years we've done it here. So, guys, we'll see you on Sunday. I'll be active on the Discord and all the channels and stuff, but I'll see you Sunday night for the year in review. It'll be our next show, and just remember, it doesn't matter what edition you play as long as you play D&D. And with the exception of Tim and it's Greyhawk. Hey, thanks a lot for hanging in there, and we'll see you soon.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
See ya. Don't crash the stream anymore, Brian.
You know,
Legends and Lore returns Wednesday, January 8th. Okay?
Yes. Yep.
Hopefully have a very special guest. And then Wednesday the 22nd, we should have our Living Greyhawk night. Okay, that's the target date for having all the Living Greyhawk people for 2020. Wednesday, January 22nd. So,
All right, you got to shoot me a text when you get your stuff figured out. So,
Cool, man.
because I mean, Chris is once again.
Go crash. You need to crash.
I don't need to crash at all.
Really?
I mean, Brianna gets me up at like 5 a.m., but whatever. I mean, I don't got to take her to daycare anymore. I get to sleep in until like 6:30 and then take her to work there. Wake up, brush my teeth, get dressed.
Anna, we gotta work on that special guest for January 8th, right?
Yes, yeah, I've sent another message, but now it's holiday, so I guess it might be.
Yeah, okay.
He will get back to us. So
All right, cool.
Work out. Yeah.
Yeah, seeing all this stuff just makes me think of like all the stuff I just went on that damn spirit right now.
I love this. I love the harbor town. It's my.
It was nice. I was showing somebody.
It's so awesome.
Do they have other sets too that you have, or?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I bet they have a whole bunch of other sets, but.
Have a great night, everyone. See yous.